What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Goal Line Dynasty. In our last episode, we talked about some guys that we thought were going to overachieve in 2023. So it's only natural that this episode, we got to talk about those guys that will underachieve. So we got 5 guys here in our video today. But before we kick off the video, Tyler, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'd just like to announce before the video starts that an honorary mention is going to be Justin Ross. We're not going to talk about it much, but just don't go out and fucking buy Justin Ross. That's all I'm going to say.
Justin Ross?
Yeah. You see, the hype train is all over the place. I've heard 4 or 5 people ask me what I think about Justin Ross. I don't give a damn about Justin Ross. I'll pay for him when he starts producing. How about that? I'll pay for him when he starts producing. So if you have a question on Justin Ross, that's my answer. I'll pay for him when he starts producing, not right now. Training camp. When I'm getting excited about training camp videos. No, thank you.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. And this is a perfect time to just remind everyone that training camp videos are just that. It's not real game scenarios. It's not like we're guaranteeing these guys are starting over, these other guys. Like in Jets training camp, that undrafted rookie wide receiver, right? Jason Brownlee, I think his name is. People are going absolutely insane. Like, he's not playing behind Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Corey Davis, not to mention the tight ends, the running backs, everything like that. Yeah, it's exciting. It's cool to root for these guys. And if you got a spot on your taxi squad, pick them up off waivers. But don't go on guys that are shining in training camp, because best case scenario, an undrafted guy like Jason Brownlee or like Justin Ross is probably, at best case scenario, like a future wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, best case scenario. So pump those brakes. But let's go ahead. We'll kick off the first bit of the video. So I got 3 guys that are going to underachieve. Tyler has, 2.5, I should say, right? My first one's going to piss off everybody watching this. And I'm sorry, but Chris Olave is going to disappoint a lot of people in 2023. It's not that he's a bad receiver. He's really not. He's a very good receiver. And in real life, Chris Olave is a tremendous receiver. I would be thrilled if Carolina had him and New Orleans didn't, but they don't. The reason why I think Olave is going to struggle in 2023, not his own doing, it's just, I think people are a little too high on him. People are saying that he's, wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7 in dynasty formats. And even in redraft leagues, people are taking him as like a top 15, top 16 guy this year. I think it's risky. I think it's really risky because, one, Derek Carr is not a bad quarterback, but I wouldn't go out and say that he's an obvious upgrade in New Orleans. He probably is, but it's not like they've completely revamped their quarterback room or anything like that. It's Derek Carr. He got ran out of Vegas recently, which a little wrongful, to be completely honest. I think that he deserved another shot with the Raiders. But either way, it's not like this big, massive upgrade. Then you take into account that the offense should be different this year, right? If Michael Thomas can stay healthy, that's a big deal. They have 3 different tight ends there. What's the one guy's name that Rashid Shaheed, I think his name is? He broke out last year, right? That's another target to soak up. And they have Kendra Miller, they have Jamal Williams, and Alvin Kamara only has a 3-game suspension. So there's going to be a lot going on in this offense. And a lot of people are saying Chris Olave is the guaranteed wide receiver 1. He's going to have the lion's share of targets. He's going to do this. He's going to do that, which he probably is the wide receiver 1 in New Orleans, even with a healthy Michael Thomas. And he probably is going to be targeted the most, but he's not going to have a ton of touchdowns. He is probably so far down their pecking order for the red zone targets, it's unreal, right? So we're going to have to rely on Olave to just be a PPR machine, which it could happen, but in order for him to return the value that people are looking at Olave for, he's going to need 7, 8, 9 catches a game and hit 100 yards more often than not, because there's probably not a lot of paths where he has more than 5 or 6 touchdowns on the season. So I think that Olave is very good. I think that he's going to be a tremendous asset as a high-end wide receiver 2 for Dynasty for many years to come. But I think the ceiling is severely capped, and I think people really need to check their bias at the door and honestly stop paying top 7, top 8 prices for Olave until we see more of that out of him. He's a guy I'm willing to be wrong on. I'm not going to overspend and go out and get Olave. So I think he's going to underachieve in 2023.
Yeah, I can't buy into that one because I love Chris Olave, and I definitely do think Derek Carr is a big upgrade from Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton threw for 2,800 yards and 14 games last year. So I think that Derek Carr can definitely support a wide receiver one in fantasy. I think Chris Olave is going to probably get like 130 to 140 targets this year, and I think he'll probably be fine. Do I think he's going to be a league breaker? No, but do I think he's probably going to put up like wide receiver 15 numbers? I think he's going to be very close to that, if not breaking that barrier into the like wide receiver one range. So I'm going to fade you on that one, but it's going to be all right.
Before you say your guy, I just have to say everything that you just said out loud, right? If we take away the name Derek Carr and we factor in anything else, right? The player, their outcome, whatever. He's just fancy Deontay Johnson. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I mean, if you could go back and get like Deontay Johnson and think that he would have considered like consistent quarterback play throughout his entire career and like, you know, not just go back through and get a rookie. I don't know. I would restart and I would take the bet on that. I think Deontay Johnson's like a talented player. So,
but that's just my thing. I don't know. I don't want to cut into your time here and turn this into a video where we're arguing about Chris Olave. But it's just the fact that we're calling him Dynasty wide receiver 6, Dynasty wide receiver 7. I mean, it seems like an unfair ceiling to be giving him. I know he's young. I know there's a lot of talent. I know there's a lot of excitement. But in my opinion, he just doesn't have the ceiling to be a yearly top 10 wide receiver.
I mean, I worry that he could turn into like DJ Moore, and then I don't think that's what I really have in mind for him. He like mediocre quarterback play could hold him back, but seeing that he put up, you know, what was it, like 1,050 yards or something like that last year? 1,040 yards, and I think he could bump it up to like 1,200 maybe and score an extra touchdown or two and be just fine. But anyways, my next guy, ironically, we say DJ Moore. DJ Moore is my next guy who is not going to really exceed his expectations. He's going to fall short of his expectations. People are ranking him right now as the wide receiver 24 on Keep Trade Cut, which might be about fair, but I mean, that's where he's finished like his entire career basically. And he is going into what's quite possibly the worst passing situation of his entire career. Justin Fields threw for 2,200 yards last year. Like that is historically bad. They threw it an historically low amount of times, and he only had 17 passing touchdowns. Right. If DJ Moore gets his 30% target share of this offense, that's like 800 yards. Not even. It's like 750 yards and like 3 or 4 touchdowns, and that's not a lot of fantasy points to go around this offense. I think that like Chase Claypool is probably going to have his spike week or two. I think that Darnell Mooney is going to have his spike week or two. Justin Fields is going to run around the field a lot. Unless this offense completely like hits a 180 and all of a sudden Justin Fields is a 4,000 yard passer, like I don't see a world where DJ Moore really exceeds like wide receiver 2. I think he's going to be much more in the wide receiver like 3 to 4 range. I think he's just going to be in a terrible like low volume offense. I think he could be like Drake London, but 5 years older. It's like, wow, if this is the situation that DJ Moore is going to be in for the next 3 years and the remainder of his career, like I don't really want any piece of him, and I'll wait because I think it's more likely than not that he disappoints expectations. Obviously, that's why I'm bringing him up in this video. But if he does like meet them, I can still pay the same price for him in season. If he is a wide receiver, the 20, on the season, I can just pay that price in season. I'm not scared of missing out on DJ Moore. I don't think he's going this is a magical situation where like AJ Brown is going to the Eagles. I don't view this like that at all. I don't view this like Stephon Diggs going to the Bills. I don't view this anywhere close to either of those situations. I think he's like going to a lower volume offense, and people are going to probably be disappointed with DJ Moore. As good of a NFL wide receiver as he is, I think that people are going to be disappointed.
Well, I like that you're bringing up the whole A.J. Brown to Philly thing, right? Because the people that are really passionate over DJ Moore this year, they're saying the same thing. Oh, well, of course Justin Fields didn't pass it too much. He didn't have any weapons last year. Look at Jalen Hurts when A.J. Brown got there. And, I mean, I get the comparison. I mean, DJ Moore is a very talented receiver. I hate it that he's not a Carolina Panther anymore, right? But to your point, I mean, he's probably fairly priced with where he is. And the people that are buying him are thinking that they're striking gold. They're getting a guy with top 15 upside. And things would have to go perfectly for DJ Moore to hit that upside. Like Justin Fields would have to be the new Jalen Hurts. He would have to essentially double his passing volume, yards, touchdowns, everything. And I'm not going to put my eggs in the Justin Fields basket to say that he will, right? So do I like DJ Moore? Yes. What I pay at his current price in Dynasty, if I'm contending, sure. But we got to really temper our expectations for DJ Moore. If you think you're getting this like hidden gem for, your late first, early second round pick in DJ Moore, you're not. It's probably worth it. So I like that you bring him up because I don't think he's going to like severely fall short of a good season. He's not going to be anything more than what you're buying him for. Right. So for that reason, I think he will underachieve.
Yeah, and the price tag really quick before you go on to your next guy. Like Keep Trade Cut says you get him for the 108 for Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Calvin Ridley. Give me any of those 4 assets over DJ Moore. I'd rather have the 108 and take either Quentin Johnston or Jordan Addison or Falls. I'd rather have the guaranteed points in Najee Harris. I'd rather have the career span of Javonte Williams. I think Calvin Ridley is like a better receiver in a better situation. He's only like a year or two older than DJ Moore. And like at this point, like you're buying DJ Moore for the points, not for the longevity. So I'm going to take all 4 of those assets that Keep Trade Cut says that I can get him for. And I'll send screenshots to my league mates and say, hey, look, DJ Moore is fair for Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. My second guy. I know you agree. Dalton Kincaid. Holy shit, guys. What are we doing with Dalton Kincaid? I don't care if we're talking Dynasty, redraft, best ball, anything. What the hell are we doing with Dalton Kincaid? He is the Dynasty tight end 5. According to the consensus right now. That is the stupidest, most asinine thing I've ever heard when it comes to Dynasty football. What do we like about him so much, right? Is he good? Yeah. Did he end up in a good offense? Yeah. That's it. That's it. He's not a better tight end than Michael Mayer. I can tell you that right now. Go back this time last year, everyone who was trading for 2023 picks, no one was trading for 2023 picks to grab Dalton Kincaid. They were trading for a 2023 pick to grab Michael Mayer, right? Dalton Kincaid had a great, 2022 with Utah, right? He had almost 900 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. It was pretty damn good, like a very good year. But he's not a good blocker, right? He's not a good blocker at all. And I know we don't count blocking stats for tight ends in fantasy football, but that's going to help him get on the field earlier in his career, right? Knowing how to block and actually going into the NFL prepared to become an NFL caliber tight end, someone that needs to do both things, right? Catch and block. It's going to take him a little while to be a consistent force in this offense. You can listen to all the coach speak that you want. Fact of the matter is he's still going to enter the season as the tight end 2 behind Dawson Knox, and he's probably going to be the tight end 2 for the entire 2023 year. So the fact that we're crowning him as Dynasty tight end 5 already, in my opinion, is completely asinine. The only way that he fits this, that he hits his ceiling, is if he turns into Zach Ertz, which is what a lot of people are hoping for, right? Zach Ertz is one of those rare tight ends who has never really been a tremendous blocker, but he was that good at catching the ball and creating space and making plays that he played his way onto the field and he became an exceptional fantasy tight end. It's cool if you think that's in the range of outcomes for Dalton Kincaid, but we're not going to see that. Definitely not in 2023. Maybe not even as soon as 2024, right? Tight ends take a little while to come to fruition in the NFL, and he is no exception. Pump the brakes. He is not the Dynasty tight end 5. He's not going to return that value at any point in 2023, probably not in 2024 either. Again, do I like him? Yes. Do I like him enough even to probably put him in my top 10 Dynasty tight ends right now? If he is, he's either 9 or 10. Like, we got to pump the brakes on Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, if I own Dalton Kincaid, I'm going to like the Evan Ingram, Greg Dulcich, David Njoku, Pat Frymuth, all these guys who own these guys. Like, hey, what will you pay on top of this for Dalton Kincaid? If you'll give me anything like on top of those guys, it's like, sure, like, why not? Maybe not like the Njoku Dulcich range because you probably paid like way more than that, but in my mind, like Kincaid is probably like the tight end 8. It like Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, Hawkinson, Kittle, Goddard, and like for me, it's like you're hoping Dalton Kincaid or like Michael Mayer, you're hoping that they can produce like Pat Fryer with Dallas Goddard, Zach Ertz, like you were saying. So like they have to be below those guys to me. These guys are too earlier on in their career, and they've proved it. Like these guys are not done. George Kittle's got a couple of years left. Dallas Goedert's got a couple of years left. Pat Frymuth for sure. Hawkins, they're all too young. Like, see who you can pivot off to if you have Dalton Kincaid. I definitely think tight end 5 is wild. He's getting drafted by like right next to like Derrick Henry and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all aboard the sell Dalton Kincaid train. Any rookie tight end, really, if they get to this point, like to this value, you kind of have to just sell them.
Yeah, and I before we move on, I'm not going to talk about Sam Laporta, right? I just want to mention this. Sam Laporta is the tight end 9 on Keep Trade Cut. Michael Mayer's all the way down at tight end 11. If you really feel the need to go out and buy a rookie tight end, please, for the love of God, let it be Michael Mayer. None of them, like Kincaid and Laporta, are probably going to have better 2023s than Michael Mayer. This is likely a fact. But Michael Mayer has the higher ceiling, in my opinion, the better range of outcomes, and to be honest, he's the best tight end by far in this 2023 class. Don't throw out years of everyone toting for Michael Mayer because Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta ended up in good situations this year. Like, just do yourself a favor. Just don't do it, guys. Anyway, Tyler, I'll let you take it over with the next one, but I'm looking at this Keep Trade Cut list and how we have these rookie tight ends ranked, and it's driving me crazy.
No, it's a good point. Like, the reality is, like, situation only matters so much. Like, Travis Kelce still would have been great and probably would have been a Hall of Famer if he was, on the, I don't know, name the worst franchise that's played over the last 3 years. Like, if he was with the Jets, he probably still would have been great and, been an awesome tight end or whatever. So I'm ignoring landing spots, especially when it comes to tight ends who have to develop that much. So I'm glad that you pointed it out. My last guy here, my second guy, is going to be a receiver who I really liked last year as like a sleeper candidate coming out of the rookie draft, and he played very well. Jahan Dotson, he's currently ranked as the wide receiver 25 on Keep Trade Cut. I don't think that's egregious. I just think that people are going to expect him to come out and put up another like 15, 16, 17 points a game like he did last year. But that was very, very correlated to his touchdown scoring. And he's just not going to be like a PPR target hog really in this offense. He really only averaged like 4 or 5 targets a game. Had somewhere around like a 15% target share. It wasn't anywhere near what like Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London put up last year. So he's like nowhere near that tier. So if you're thinking like, oh, maybe like Jahan Dotson put up just as many points, he could be just as good. I don't think that he's going to necessarily stay consistent. It's hard to, put up 7 touchdowns in your rookie year in whatever the 12 games. Like 7 touchdowns in 12 games as a rookie is a lot. I don't think that he keeps that up like throughout his entire career. I don't think he improves from that. I think that's probably going to be like the ceiling for him. He's going to be a big play guy. Sam Howell, who knows how many big plays he's really going to be able to finish this year. I don't know how much faith I have in him. I know you have a lot of faith in him to like improve this Washington offense. I think he should be an improvement over what we saw last year, but still I'm very doubtful. I don't think like when it comes to these new quarterback situations, you don't know how good the quarterback is. I think you just have to stick with the guy in the offense who's going to get the volume. Everybody's talking about Jahan Dotson right now. I think in our last video, you brought up Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin is the piece of this offense that I'd rather have. I think that the expectations for Jahan Dotson is going to be like Mike Evans type stats where he puts up 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns every single year, and I don't see that happening. It's just not it's not consistent enough of a stat to say that Jahan Dotson is going to keep that up for his entire career. He's going to do that for 17 games per season, and a touchdown a game is just wild. It's almost a touchdown a game, and I don't think he's going to keep it up. So I think we have to curb our expectations on Jahan Dotson. I think you can put him in that like Pickens range, but I think if you're able to get that 108 Najee price tag that we were talking about before with DJ Moore, like I think I'm swapping Jahan Dotson for Najee, Javonte, Calvin Ridley, not DJ Moore. I would rather hold Jahan Dotson than DJ Moore, but they're valued about the same, and I think the point stands either way. I don't think that the quarterback play is going to be enough to give Jahan Dotson this many touchdowns and to sustain what he brought up or what he brought to the table last year. Sorry if I repeated myself, but yeah.
No, and I can't say I fully agree with you, but I don't necessarily disagree with you. I like Jahan Dotson. I mean, we've both gone on the record and say we like Jahan Dotson. He's going to be very good for Dynasty, but it's a matter of getting these guys when their price is right. And I mean, his price probably is a little inflated right now. I think that at some point in the 2023 season, now, if you're like me and you really believe in Sam Howell, then paying the current price for Jahan Dotson is probably a fair price. I wouldn't expect much more out of him than, a low-end wide receiver 2 finish, but I'm fine with his current price. But if you're someone who genuinely doesn't believe in Sam Howell and doesn't believe in this Washington offense, there's a buy low window in your future for Jahan Dotson, right? If that's something that you're predicting, you should 1,000% not be taking Dotson now. If you like Dotson, but you don't like Sam Howell, just wait. Just wait, because Washington's not going to play their way to a top 3, top 4 draft pick, right? So people knowing that are going to know that Sam Howell's probably around to stay, or maybe they're going to fill it with free agent quarterback next year or whatever, right? But either way, if either of those things happen, Jahan Dotson's going to have a buy low window. So, I don't hate that you're calling him an underachiever for 2023, because I really wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what he did. But I'm going to move into the last guy of the video. I've been chewed out in the comment section on this guy many times before. So I stopped talking about him for a little while because I got tired of having to defend myself in the comments. So before I talk about him, I'm just going to say this. If you have anything to say about who I'm about to talk about, that's perfectly fine. Just know that it's the one comment I'm probably not going to answer, because everything that I've ever said about Christian Watson is still true to this day. You can watch many videos on this channel of me talking about him, and I'm going to talk about him just now. So Christian Watson is going to be my third and final guy on this video. He is ranked as the Dynasty wide receiver 20, which means he is on average being drafted and having a higher value than Brandon Ayuk, Jay Jeudy, Najee Harris, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson, Zay Flowers, Terry McLaurin. I mean, you name it. Every single one of those guys that I just named, I'm taking over Christian Watson, and there's really nothing you can do to stop me on that one. The thing with, did I say Deshaun Watson? I meant to say Christian Watson.
No, you said Christian Watson. You're good. You're good.
Well, good. I don't know. Either way, Christian Watson, not a guy I'm interested in. I'm selling him anywhere I can. Not recently, it was a couple months ago. I traded him straight up for the draft pick that got me Quentin Johnston. I would take Quentin Johnston over Christian Watson any day of the week, right? They're both boomer bust players. They're both insanely athletic, but Quentin Johnston is in a tremendous situation and has a clear path to being the wide receiver 1 in a year or two with Justin Herbert. Christian Watson, on the other hand, major quarterback downgrade, right? We really don't know what we're getting out of Jordan Love, but we can all agree it's not going to be what Aaron Rodgers is, right? The other thing with Christian Watson is he had an incredible, 4 or 5 games in a row there, but it's like 60 or 70% of his fantasy production came over those 5 or 6 games. He is a boomer bust player. He is the guy that if I could have Christian Watson in my flex spot, I'd be thrilled, right? Because he's going to get me maybe 8 to 10 points in a lot of games, but there's going to be some games where Christian Watson does hit 20 or 25, and you're going to be pumped about that. But if you're buying Christian Watson as your wide receiver 2, it, in my opinion, can really hurt your roster. The wide receiver 2 position, you want them to have week winning upside, but you need them to be consistent. You're the guy that you put into your wide receiver 2 spot. He can't lose you weeks, and Christian Watson could very easily do that. Like I said, he's a really good athlete. He really is, but he's not the best football player. Like he's probably not even in the top 25 real life wide receivers right now. Maybe not even in the top 30, right? Don't ask me to name all 30 of those guys in the comments. I'm not going to do that. But he's not amazing. He's a good athlete, not an amazing football player. And then you put into the fact that they went out, they drafted Jaden Reed. They drafted another guy in the 5th or 6th round. I can't remember who it was, right? But they brought in 2 new receivers. They have Romeo Doubs. They have Aaron Jones. They brought in a new tight end, right? Luke Musgrave, I think it was. So I don't know. You just put all these things into the fold. Jordan Love's not going to throw for 3,500 or 4,000 yards, anything crazy like that. Like, you're buying Christian Watson for his spike weeks, which is fine. You can't argue him as a consistent top 20 wide receiver or draft him to be your wide receiver 2. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. If you want to buy Christian Watson, you be my guest, but he's not on a single one of my teams, and wherever he was, I sold him. I sold him high after the 2022 season.
Yeah, I think like what I would say to people who are the biggest like Christian Watson believers is like, do you believe that Christian Watson is better than DK Metcalf? And I think most people would probably say no. Like DK Metcalf's probably a better receiver. Okay, go look at DK Metcalf's like career fantasy production. it's not going to blow you out of the water. So if you think Christian Watson is not as good as that, like if he's going to perpetually finish as the wide receiver 19 or 20, if he's this, like he's not worth that wide receiver 20 price tag to me. Like there are so many other guys I would rather have. I'd rather have Devontae Adams. I'd rather invest my capital in like old guys. I'd rather send those picks for old guys and fill out my roster that way. I mean, there's a lot of people who are literally viewing Christian Watson as like the wide receiver 1 on their team. And like you said, I think it's a massive mistake. People are thinking he could be like, you know, the next Jamar Chase if he puts together like a full healthy season and Jordan Love is any good. Like I don't think, again, I think it's a similar situation to like the Jahan Dotson. I think he's in that tier for me. Jahan Dotson, George Pickens, like right there. I think it's just like big play wide receivers that like did well last year, but I don't necessarily see it being a consistent thing over the course of their careers. So I think he's in same exact tier as Dotson and Pickens for me. Treylon Burks probably too.
Yeah, and I mean, when he had his breakout, it was between weeks 10 and week 13, which admittedly, he absolutely crushed those 4 weeks. 32, 21, 21, 24. If you have a wide receiver that's getting you 20-plus points 4 weeks in a row, that's pretty damn good. But leading up to that, he only played 6 games. His highest total was 9.3. His lowest total was 0.8, right? Now, I won't hold those too much against him because in each one of those, or all but one, he played in less than 60% of those snaps. So it is what it is. But then they go on the bye week, right? And then the last 4 weeks of the season, he totally normals out, right? He played 60% plus snaps in each of these games. 8 points, 10 points, 2 points, 16 points, right? Like the 16 point, yeah, it's nice and everything. But I don't know. Like,
it's boomer bust. It's boomer bust. That's what it is. He's boomer bust, and I am not comfortable like heavily investing in those guys because I can get them so much cheaper in like way deeper in startup drafts, way deeper in trade value. Like there's way easier ways to get those guys and not pay for the name value.
Exactly. Like if you need a boomer bust guy on your roster, pay for Mike Williams. Mike Evans, even in 2023, he's going to be boomer bust, right? A guy like Tyler Lockett.
Curtis Samuel, like
there's so many different options that you can choose from that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. So I'll cut it off there because we both are not big Christian Watson fans, and I don't want to just kind of beat a dead horse here, but he's one of my biggest candidates to disappoint in 2023. I see almost no possibility where he improves his dynasty ranking here. So I'm not buying high on Christian Watson right now.
Yeah, I can't believe that Jordan Love is going to be an improvement over Aaron Rodgers. So I can't really – I don't know. I mean, granted, I think Christian Watson is going to continue to improve and to be a better NFL receiver. I don't think he's ever going to be a difference maker. I think he's going to, like you said, Mike Williams 2.0.
Exactly. But that's going to do it for us here on Goal Line Dynasty. We said some big names that we're going to underachieve in 2023, and we're going to stick by that. If Christian Watson is the wide receiver 5, if Chris Olave is the wide receiver 5, right, whatever. If Jahan Dotson is a top 10 wide receiver, let us hear it. Come back to this video in 6 months and tell us we were wrong, but I really don't think we are. I think I have very strong feelings towards the guys that I am not a big fan of in fantasy. And again, it's not that I don't love Chris Olave. It's not that I don't want Christian Watson in any scenario. It's just these price tags, man.
Yeah, I would ask for any of these guys' autographs if I ever saw them in person. But 100%. But either way, be careful when you're paying prices at a premium because there's always a buy low window for certain guys. But that's going to do it for us here on Goal Line Dynasty. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to underachieve in 2023. And of course, if you like this video or you just want to be nice, hit that like button. But for myself, for Tyler, for Goal Line Dynasty, we will see you next time.